So we're going to start with opening statements, starting with number 1, and that will go to Mr. Isaiah L. Leon Savage. And again, you have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for coming out. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here before you, pleading my case to be mayor of Whittier. I'm here to be mayor because it's the right thing to do right now. We need to follow the rules, and we haven't been following the rules. I'm here to bring back something that we can all relate to: better streets, clean sidewalks, a safer, more efficient police department, a safer, more efficient fire department. Nothing special. It was something that should have been done 7 years ago, because the money for those projects was literally here. I'm here to bring back the integrity of the town. We, from 95 all the way up until 2005, we were still independent, self-sufficient. Now we outsource practically everything. I'm here to turn that around, because outsourcing is only a short-term solution. It's not meant, you can't sustain outsourcing long-term. We have 80,000 people here. That means we need at least 480 policemen on our police department. That means we need at least 300 to 400 firemen on our fire department. We had the money 7 years ago, and because we wouldn't sue the state for being and denounce being a sanctuary city, last month all that money was pulled away. We can bring that money back. We actually can, and as your mayor and as the leader of your town, that's what I plan to do, is to bring all that back, because it should have been done 7 years ago, and for some reason, the current administration just slept on it. So that's why I'm asking for your vote. That's why I'm asking for you to come out.
Thank you so much. Now moving on to Mr. James Becerra.
Good evening, and thank you to the Whittier Area Chamber of Commerce for hosting tonight's forum. I'm running for mayor because I believe economic vitality doesn't happen by accident. It happens through structure, predictability, and disciplined leadership. I have lived in Whittier for 30 years now, raised my family here, and my wife Bonnie and I plan to retire here. Whittier has a strong foundation, but a strong foundation requires consistent execution. The economic landscape has changed. The question isn't whether change is happening, it's whether our leadership is adapting with equal discipline. We can't recreate the past, but we can shape the future intelligently. My commitment to the business community is simple. You deserve a city government that is predictable, efficient, and accountable. That means clear standards that are applied consistently, so you know what to expect from day one. Permit timelines that are defined, not discretionary. Transparent performance metrics, so we publicly track vacancy rates, permit turnaround times, and economic outcomes and improve them year after year. Economic development isn't just about ribbon cuttings. It's about retention. It's about reducing friction. Our legacy family-owned businesses are the backbone of this city. Supporting them must be just as important and intentional as attracting new industries. I'm in support of establishing a forward-looking economic advisory group that helps us identify industries that fit Whittier's scale, infrastructure, and workforce. We don't need disruption. We need disciplined execution. We need optimistic, practical leadership that plans ahead, enforces standards fairly, measures performance transparently, and builds confidence in our city. That's how we create an economy that is resilient, predictable, and built to last.
Thank you. Now moving on to Joe Vinatieri.
Thanks to the Chamber this evening and for everyone being here. It's been my honor to serve as mayor for the past 2 years, and during that time we've had a number of challenges, but we've also implemented a number of great improvements for our residents. Through sound fiscal management, we've avoided tax increases, increased our reserves, invested millions of dollars in modernized libraries, parks, recreation, senior facilities. increase police and fire staffing, expanded local business opportunities and jobs, and sheltered many of our homeless residents. Public safety is our #1 responsibility. Whittier Police Department officers now wear body cameras. Our crime is down 13%, and now we have emergency paramedic service within 4 minutes in East Whittier. You've also heard me say that I want Whittier to be the best place in SoCal to raise a family, and that means a city we work with our nonprofits and our schools in educating our students, but it also means helping parents through sports. You know that we have over 5,000 kids in youth sports, our library programs, WIN program, other activities. So looking ahead, I'm planning on adding more police and paramedics as we grow, investing in making our community resistant to wildfire here in the Whittier Hills, developing a sales tax rebate program for residents who shop in Whittier and shop Whittier businesses, waive some permit fees, hire an economic development director, and add more parking, Whittier Cruiser shuttle service, and expand our relationships with our colleges and fixing Whittier Boulevard. So despite the many state and federal mandates that we've had, we need to protect our unique values. And that means it takes strong, stable, consistent leadership to maintain our quality of life. I'm committed to protecting our heritage, preparing our future, while preserving the sense of community that we all moved here for. Thank you.
Thank you so much, all of you, for your opening statements. Now we're going to move on to our 3 chamber-generated questions. And again, each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer these questions. So now we're actually going to start with Mr. James Becerra for question number 1. Many local businesses cite long vacancies and a complicated permitting or approval process as barriers to opening or expanding. What specific steps would you take to streamline city approvals and help fill empty storefronts faster?
Several things. We need to have a 30-day timeline where when a permit is applied, there will have clear indication as to what they can expect within 30 days. That doesn't mean it's going to be permission granted, but they'll know within 30 days what they can expect. Okay, I want to have on the city website a dashboard where people can track their permits and so forth to see where they stand on that. We'll also have automatic triggers where a permit is extended beyond those 30 days. There'll be, staff will be alerted so they can address that and find out why is there a problem that the permit isn't moving forward. Third, there just again needs to be a better transparency and communication with the applicant so they understand what it is that's expected of them, what they're obligated to do, and what the consequences might be when they do follow the process.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to Joe Vinatieri, and if you'd like me to repeat the question at any point for any candidate, please let me know.
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you.
So what we're talking about is bigger than just at the counter. We need to jumpstart our economy, and businesses in SoCal, including Whittier, are all down right now. But there are certain things that we can do. There's a new retail environment. We've got the Amazon effect, which hurts the small moms and pops. We want to increase dining and retail here in Whittier and family entertainment. So how do we do this? And the question is real good because for a long-term vision, we need to be doing some new things. I think as a city, we need to get beyond just the counter. We need to reinstate our red team. And that's the team that goes out and helps businesses that are looking at potentially leaving. This is all new, but I'm going to indicate that I think we should hire a director of economic development here at the city of Whittier who works directly for the city manager, and that's all they're focused on, bringing in new businesses, making sure that we retain the businesses we have, and proactively meet the businesses in Whittier. And that person would also work with this chamber as well as our other organizations uptown. As part of that, I think we ought to have a concierge in the planning department. And that's someone who is there to troubleshoot and to follow guidelines, to make sure that people who are taking the time to invest in Whittier and doing it the right way, that they get the help that they need. So I think it's a really important thing that we do, and those are two major new things. I have some ideas about small businesses and giving them a jump start right now. I'd like to see us go out and basically do the sales tax rebate program that would help the businesses. I'd also like us to maybe suspend some permit fees for people who want to invest in Whittier right now. I'd like to see our businesses be able to advertise better by maybe having some banners and some inflatables. Short-term stuff to make things happen quickly.
Thank you so much. Now moving on to Mr. Isaiah Leon-Savage.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Many local businesses cite long vacancies and a complicated permitting or approval process as barriers to opening or expanding. What specific steps would you take to streamline city approvals and help fill empty storefronts faster?
Do something that should have been done 7 years ago. Repair every street and sidewalk, because every economic knows that once the streets and the sidewalks are repaired, you see a 25% increase in profit. We have to start from step one. Who wants to put a business on a raggedy street? Who wants to walk down a raggedy sidewalk to a business? It's putting the cart before the horse if we're not gonna think about what we're walking on and where we're walking. And with these extra businesses, we're going to need more police because that's the protocol. When you add a structure, you need to add safety for that structure. Not security guards, real police. I would bring back the 500 policemen that applied in 2017 that were all residents of Whittier that graduated from the Whittier Police Department. However, in 2017, when they all applied, they were all turned down. I'm asking if any of you are out there, please come back. I'll hire you. I'll give you a job because this is sorely needed. It's not safe or even wise to have all these so-called fresh new projects and we have no way to protect it. And another thing to increase business, who wants to have a business or a home where pedophiles are being paroled in the third largest school district? We got to start facing some facts. 1,000-yard rule got to be put in effect, and those people have to go. Who wants to bring a child knowing that they're going to have a list of places not to go? So, yeah, this is how you improve business. Do what's right.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to move on to question number 2. This time we're going to start with Joe Vinatieri for question 2. What is your top business development priority for Whittier over the next 4 years? And what concrete first step would you take to implement your plan?
Thank you. So, top business development, remember the mayoral term is 2 years, 4 years, but it will take a number of things. I just kind of told you a little bit from my viewpoint. I think it starts by looking at Whittier Boulevard, and I think it starts by bringing someone on board to the city who is experienced in bringing businesses into a community and making sure they stay there. And that's their job. That's their only job. I think, as I indicated previously, that if we have people who are coming into Whittier who want to invest here, and we do, we actually do, then I want to make sure that they're taken care of. And that's where the idea is of the concierge. And there would be a planning process, and there would be steps, and there would be a time calendar on how much time it takes to get through. Some projects are shorter than others, but all projects, whether they're short or long, whether they're residential or they're commercial, all deserve the attention of our people. So I'd like us, lastly, we have not done an economic development plan for a couple of years here in Whittier. And I talked earlier about the Amazon effect. When we did our plan a couple of years ago, Amazon was there, but it wasn't near as it is today. And so we have a number of I don't want to say residents, but we have a number of people who are investing in Whittier, but they're not getting the return on their investment because of the fact that it's cheaper to go online. So what we have to do is we have to incentivize businesses to come in here, businesses that will provide retail sales tax, and then move forward in terms of making that happen, helping them, and being proactive with them.
Thank you so much. Moving on to Aida Savage.
Please repeat the question.
Sure. What is your top business development priority for Whittier over the next 2 years if elected, and what concrete first step would you take to implement your plan?
First, file a lawsuit against the state for making us submit to sanctuary policies because it's a Fourth Amendment violation of the Constitution that was established in 2018. Secondly, once we are no longer established as a sanctuary city, our federal funding will come back. California lost $10 billion in federal funding, all pulled back because nothing was being done with the money. It's enough talk. We hear this all the time, what we're gonna do, what we gotta do, and let's just do it. The money was there. All we have to do is apply the money to where it's supposed to go. And this is what has not been happening. We don't have to pretend like, oh, well, maybe they had some hiccups. No, they're just not doing the job. So that's what I would do. File a lawsuit against the state for trying to make us a sanctuary city, for invading our city with people, unknown faces. And those of you out there know exactly what I'm talking about. Unknown faces. People being dropped off by the busloads. Ain't even from here, probably ain't even from California. We have to clean up before we start coming up. Because there's too much dirt here right now. Look at that, we have the worst roads and streets in the country. That is nothing to be happy about. But we can turn all that around. And now one thing that really needs to happen before any businesses are attracted to this place, we need a complete forensic financial audit. There's $202 million that is unanswered for.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to Mr. James Becerra.
Thank you. Economic development should be intentional, not opportunistic. We shouldn't just recruit what fills space, we should recruit what strengthens our future. Over the next 5 years, Whittier should focus on industries that increase fiscal productivity and create stable career pathways for residents. That includes healthcare innovation and medical adjacent services, professional and technical services, experiential hospitality that supports uptown or corridors, and clean advanced manufacturing that aligns with our regional workforce and transportational access. These sectors generate strong revenue per acre, provide upward mobility jobs, and fit Whittier's scale and infrastructure. But recruitment alone isn't enough. It's a competitive region. Cities win when they offer predictability and speed. So my first concrete steps, that's going to mean aligning zoning policy, infrastructure planning, and defined permit service standards. So when a target industry shows interest, we are ready, not reactive. Economic development must be measurable, data-driven, and aligned with long-term sustainability, not simply about announcing the next tenant. We can't control every market trend, but we can control how strategically we compete. And cities that compete intentionally are cities that win.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to move on to our last chamber-generated question, question number 3. This time we'll start with Aida Savage. Now, how would you approach balancing the city's budget while still maintaining essential services and investing in priorities like public safety, infrastructure, and economic development?
Well, we have to stop outsourcing. Again, we have to stop. This is not going to help us. This is going to hurt us. Again, outsourcing is a short-term solution. How did we end up being one of the most self-sufficient towns in the country to outsourcing everything? This isn't really about the administration. This is about the people who built legacies here, who built lives here. We had our own farms, our own bread, our own gas. Now everything is our own city workers. Now everything is outsourced. At some point, we have to realize we are hemorrhaging money. And it's not going to stop on this path. It's not going to stop on the same path as this path. We need to stop and do something right now, which is literally a forensic financial audit. How many of you know where the $202 million is by show of hands? Oh, okay, see, don't you want to know what that money was left here for you? And they won't tell you where it's at, but we need to find out where it's at. They won't tell you what they spent it on, but we need to know what they spent it on. Until we know what we are working with, we're not going to know where we're going because we don't know how much is in our wallet. They do, because they're spending it. Please, I heard, imagine what you could do with $300 million. We're still imagining it because we ain't seen nothing done with it. Crime is going up. Yeah, crime went up, spikes 70%. It's 13% down from 70%. Yeah. So, I'm not here like to mix words like that. We know what we need to do. Let's do it.
Thank you. Moving on to James Becerra.
Infrastructure is not cosmetic. It's an economic policy. Well-maintained streets, lighting, sidewalks, and public spaces directly affect public safety, property values, and business confidence. When infrastructure declines, so does investment. My approach begins with a simple principle: maintenance before expansion. Before launching new, large discretionary projects, we must reduce deferred maintenance and protect the core systems residents and businesses rely on every day. It's less expensive to preserve infrastructure than it is to rebuild it after. Second, transparency builds trust. I support creating a district-level infrastructure dashboard that publishes pavement conditions, lighting upgrades, sidewalk repairs, and capital improvement timelines. Residents and business owners should be able to see measurable progress by district and by year. Third, I'd implement a rolling 5-year capital improvement plan with geographic balance. Okay. Every district should see consistent, trackable improvement over time, not uneven investment forecasts, not short-term optimism. You cannot build long-term prosperity on crumbling infrastructure. Maintenance is not optional. Maintenance is leadership. If we protect what we have, plan strategically, and report progress transparently, we strengthen both quality of life and economic vitality for the long term.
Thank you.
Can you read it again, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
How would you approach balancing the city's budget while still maintaining essential services and investing in priorities like public safety, infrastructure, and economic development?
So the question goes much beyond maintenance and infrastructure. It goes to balancing the budget. How many of you looked at last Tuesday night's agenda where we got our mid-year budget report? And it talks about the end of fiscal year, last fiscal year. General fund closed the year with an unassigned fund balance of $60 million. $60 million. How did that come about on a $114 million budget? It's all right here. It's facts. It's facts. So how did that happen? It happened because of most everybody in here, and that's Measure W. The people who had stepped up in 2020 when we were having issues relative to homelessness, issues relative to police, and making sure we had enough officers, other issues. And the people would have stepped up and voted for a sales tax increase. And we're still very appreciative of that, all of us. But what we did with that was the word transparency. It's on the city website. You can see exactly how much money is coming in as a result of Measure W, and you can see where that money is going. It's going for more police officers. I'm advocating that we hire 4 new police officers with the increase that we've had with the annexation. We have been using that money for homelessness in a number of ways, and taking people off the street as a result of that money. So balanced in the budget, we are very, very well budgeted and balanced. In fact, we just received an award from a company that basically says the governmental officers, finance officers say, for 5 years in a row, you've had a very clear, transparent, good, balanced budget. So we're appreciative of that because it's all about how we spend your money. The money's there and it's being watched and you can watch it.
Okay, we're going to move on now to our 2 audience-generated questions. So thank you guys for filling those out. We do appreciate that. And again, just as a reminder, you have 1 minute to answer those questions. So I will start with question number 1. How do we encourage small business investments, not upscale and unaffordable housing? And we will start with James Becerra for this question.
I'm sorry, repeat the question, please.
Sure. How do we encourage small business investments, not upscale and unaffordable housing?
We have to make it clear to them that they're welcome in Whittier. And we can do that, again, by making clear understanding of what our permitting process is, what our zoning regulations are, and the city working with the Chamber of Commerce to mentor these small businesses, providing opportunities where there could be classes in entrepreneurship for these new businesses. But the city has to do its part and really make it clear that we welcome and want to see thrive here in Whittier, these businesses. So that's one thing I would do and implement immediately.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Mr. Vinatieri.
So the question is encouraging small business investment in not upscale and affordable housing. Those are 2 different things.
Yeah.
Let's talk about small business investment. People come to Whittier. They go uptown, they go around Whittier because they see an opportunity here. And that's because the word is out for Whittier that there's a certain amount of people here with a certain amount of income, and there are certain needs in this community. I want to make sure we have a good idea as to what those niches are. And we can actually go and encourage that. We do that by talking about an economic development director, but that would be one of the things that that person would do. As far as the unaffordable housing upscale, separate issue. People are going to come here. There's some affordable housing. There's some very upscale housing. It's everything in between. It's all about land economics. We all know how that works. I'm thankful that the new project right up here, up the street, we're going to have an affordable housing unit in there. We need to look for opportunities in new projects coming in to be able to do affordable housing.
Thank you so much. And lastly, we'll close with Aida Savage.
Repeat the question one more time.
Sure. How do we encourage small business investments, not upscale and unaffordable housing?
By encouraging local business owners with incentives for opening businesses in this community. There are over 80,000 people in this community. You can't tell me there aren't at least 5,000 who live here who want to open up a business. Give them incentive to open up that business. Then you have in-house money, because as long as the money stays in, we are able to do. However, hire back all the city workers as well, because the maintenance of our town is lackluster, abysmal at best. So I would give incentives to the locals who have innovation, who have business ideas, who have that gumption to open up a business and ride it out that 5 years so they can start seeing the profit. Let's start investing in ourselves.
Thank you. Now we're gonna move on to our last question of the evening, and we're gonna start with Mayor Vinatieri for this one. Since there is a lot of townhomes springing up, what is your plan to reduce traffic?
A lot of what?
Since there is a lot of townhomes springing up, what is your plans to reduce traffic?
So townhomes it's all about, RENA, and the fact that the state of California said we have to do 4,329 units, and that's coming down from Sacramento. And so we have to balance meeting that with the traffic concerns. So traffic, what we need to do is we need to get Whittier Boulevard done, and we're doing that right now because we now have Whittier Boulevard. So it's about traffic flow, and it's more than just new townhomes. It's also about Waze and the other apps that put people through Whittier. So there's lots of times where we have talked to them and say, send a different way. No, they're not interested. So what we need to do is synchronize the lights, Lambert, Beverly Boulevard, Whittier Boulevard, and move the traffic through. And if people are coming into Whittier, and we're thankful they're making an investment here, then we just need to make sure that we do it well.
Thank you. We'll move on to Isaiah Leon Savage.
Please repeat the question.
Sure. Since there is a lot of townhomes springing up, what is your plan to reduce traffic?
Repair the roads, repair the sidewalks, fix the streets, widen the roads, even slow down the traffic going through Uptown. The speed limit going down Greenleaf is literally way too high, especially for the amount of foot traffic, seniors and children that move through there. So it's enough to make you want to cry because I see everybody's for some reason falling for the BS rhetoric that these people are giving. I'm asking you to wake up because we are in trouble. And on my last statement, I'm going to let you know the trouble we're in because you don't realize it because they're not telling you. So yes, that's what I would do. I would have that $6.83 billion that Grayson Powell used, and for the roads to fix the roads.
Thank you. And lastly, we'll close with Mr. James Becerra for this question.
Whether it's townhomes, apartments, or single-family detached, the key to reducing traffic or making it tolerable is to reduce commute time. So we need to recruit businesses that can hire locally. The residents here can use public transportation and presumably even work out schedules so they can work more from home. Widening streets, etc., that's a dog chasing its tail. We see 2 lanes, there were 4, 6, when does it end? That doesn't solve anything, okay? We need to restrict and control transportation patterns. If we don't shape growth strategically, Sacramento will shape it for us. But strategic planning means consistent standards, transparent analysis, and protecting both livability and economic vitality. Transportation the private vehicle, we need to begin an active campaign in discouraging that and really encouraging work from home and employers in our area that will hire locally.
So now we're going to begin our closing remarks for the evening. Again, just as a reminder, each candidate has 1 minute for their closing remarks. This evening we'll start with, going in order here, Mr. Isaiah Leon Savage for your closing remarks.
I am going to leave you, like I said, with what's going on. While we shouldn't be sister cities with China, 470 million ounces of American silver was smuggled out of America into China through California. That's $10.8 billion in money equivalent. Actually, it's more. Human trafficking is the worst in Southern California. We need to start following some guidelines. The Constitution is not here to hurt us, it's here to protect us. They are not following the Constitution.